I recently found a PowerPoint that I initially had made in 2003 and last updated on March 14th, 2005. And this PowerPoint was the basis for many of the videos on the Jonathan Lippy channel, much of the subject matter that ended up being in simulation theory, and many other things that I've done over the past decade, 10 years plus. So I figured I'd just go through this PowerPoint in a video format so you could see how this single PowerPoint spawned so many videos, a book, some stuff on a CD. This is like the origin, the genesis of my thoughts. So we'll call this Reality Has Become Science Fiction. That was also the subtitle of the simulation theory. But before I had the title Simulation Theory, this PowerPoint was Reality Has Become Science Fiction. And I started it, like I said, in 2003. It's a collection of images and information by Jonathan Lippy. But first, let me say, I didn't make that picture on the previous slide of the guy holding up that thing with the clouds and the fish. I didn't make that. I just found it online and thought it was cool. So reality has become science fiction. The purpose of this presentation is to explain that the reality most people agree upon to live in isn't the entire picture of what is going on. Right in front of our eyes exists a more grand, splendid, incredible world that most of us choose not to observe. PowerPoint was the only reasonable way I could transmit my ideas back in 2003 because not everybody had even cable modems and nobody had smartphones. And to send someone a video through email, it just wouldn't have been possible because like a 5-minute video minimum would be about 50 megs. Most likely it would be like 150 megs. And back then, like 2 megs was the max for an email. And your email probably only allowed for 10 megs total. So I created, I guess, this PowerPoint and some others, but this one in particular. And I guess I would just email it to my friends to let them know what I was thinking about. They probably thought it was really weird, but you know, in present day, it's pretty right on. Part 1, The Origins of Man. This actually became a video called The Origins of Man. It's on my YouTube channel somewhere if you dig for it. Who created man? God, the Anunnaki, aliens, the Wingmakers. This is also in that video. Which is our true home planet? Mars, Nibiru, Planet X, Tiamet, Earth. This is in the video. My answer, the Matrix. This is a neurological simulation. We're all gamers, souls inside of bodies. Body equals computer hardware. Soul equals operating system software. Our experience, that as of a user or simmer. The Architect in Matrix Reloaded. This is the outline to Simulation Theory Chapter 1. And I'll tell you that saying this back in 2003, people were like, what are you talking about? They didn't get it. It was like weird. It's like, what? I don't get it. The Matrix. That's a movie. Anyway, rules, laws to the video game. Gravity, thermodynamics, conservation of mass, conservation of energy, chaos, and order. I'm going to stop pointing out when it's from Simulation Theory, the book. If you hadn't watched the Simulation Theory series, you might want to watch that before this video. I really like this slide here. I thought it was really clever when I made it. So you have the ascent of man. So I said different versions of man and Microsoft Windows operating systems. Homo sapien equals the latest upgrade. So you have the ascent of man from, gorilla ape into the human being you see in present day, us, humans. But then I showed the evolution of Windows for workgroups, Windows 3.1, Windows 95, 98, Windows Me, Windows NT, Workstation. We got Windows 2000 Pro and Windows XP Pro. And this goes to show that I really did make this a long time ago because there's no Vista, there's no Windows 7, there's no Windows 8, there's no Windows 10. Same operating system, just updated graphical user interface, gameplay, features, and efficiency. And I used this slide in a video called Reality, the Neurological Experience. It's my favorite video I ever made. It was my entire philosophy dropped into 10 minutes. And I remember making it in 2003. I spent a full day doing it, and it just came so natural. It's my favorite video ever. Even now, like all these years later, it's still my favorite video I ever made. Same game, updated graphics. So I have a graphic here of Zelda from 1989. It's actually Zelda 2. And then I have Zelda in 2001, which, it's funny, at the time we thought that was pretty good graphics. But, you know, Zelda's pretty much the same game, but the graphics are updated. And life is pretty much the same thing. We just get updated graphics now. The video games look better than ever and have more buttons and movement, but it's still the same storyline, same objective. Part 2, Understanding Human Life and Reality by interacting with and creating robots and computers, artificial intelligence. So I guess this was going to be the second video that I had made. I don't think I ever made this, but it did go into simulation theory. And what I was finding at the time was that as you learn to program computers, it causes you to look at to quantify reality and mathematically express it through logic to a computer, and you start to ask questions about your own, you know, the reality that we live in. You're like, man, this thing was probably programmed too. And I wanted to express that to people, but they just weren't there yet. You know, nowadays you could almost have the conversation, but back then people were scared of computers. Barely anybody was using computers. Layers of human beneath the surface: muscle, skeletal, and nervous. So you look at the human body, you know, we're told that the experience we're having is a real thing. It's really real. But then you're like, man, there's a muscular system, a skeletal system, a nervous system. You know, it's almost like we are robots, like somebody designed us. And it's not just God. You know, God's like the answer people give when they don't want to think about it. And I'm not taking God away from this. I'm not saying God didn't make this. But look at our bodies, the muscles that we have, the skeleton that we have, the nerves that we have. Look at that. We look like robots. We're electrochemical robots. And I'm not saying that to reduce us, because I believe in the duality of the body and the spirit. I'm making fun of the body, saying the body's the robot. Our souls are something else. But, you know, something's going on here. These human bodies, I just can't take it serious as reality. I feel like we're inhabiting these bodies, having this video game experience. So you look at the previous slide and then you look at this. We have the human skeleton, and that's the first stage of human design. And the first stage of computer, android, robot, first building stage is like the CAD design. So the CAD design is kind of like the skeleton, or the 3D modeling is the skeleton. And then you add in the muscle layer. So the muscle layer on the humans has all the muscles, and then you add in the quasi muscle layer of the robot, which is like the rubber bands and the gears and the other things that keep the robot together. So you look at a human, and we have all these muscles holding us together, tendons, and our basically the muscles are almost like really advanced rubber bands. And it holds our body together. Look at your muscles. The muscles are banana. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. And then we have communications channels. So in the human, your communication channels is your nervous system, your nerves, veins, capillaries. And then on a robot, they have like wires and like bus lines and circuits. So a human has nerves and veins. A robot has wires and circuits. The next upgrade is man and machine blended together. A skeleton replica wired to a device that simulates the vibration of a moving vehicle transmits data for computer analysis. And that's in August 1998. Look at those CRT monitors. Richard Schultz Matrix 1998, Smithsonian Magazine. Yeah, man. So these are like the things I was looking. All this cool popular science type stuff is real popular now. Back then, it was just nerdy people looking at this stuff. And so I'm learning about these kind of things in 98. I'm just trying to communicate it. There was no social network, no way to give this to people, so people could see what I was seeing. And so I made these PowerPoints, and nowadays people do see what I saw back then. Design stages of building a creature. So again, this is kind of like a rehashing. So first you create the skeleton of it, then you add in some paint, then you put the skin on it, then you paint the skin and give it colors and make it more anatomic. Then we look at robot hands, human hands. You design the robot hand in a 3D modeling program. You add the layers to it, and then you could say the same thing for a human skeleton hand. You look at it on an X-ray, you see all the bones, then you add the muscle tendons, then you add in the skin. So the point I'm trying to drive home is, like, a lot of people, I don't know if it's still like this, but back then people were like, I'm so much better than a robot. I'm not a robot. I'm a human being. And I'm like, yeah, but have you taken a look at your body? I'm not trying to take anything from your soul, but I'm saying your body is a skeleton with muscles on top and then skin on top. And you have all these wires all over your body inside, the veins, the nerves, the capillaries, the synapses, wireless communication in your brain. I'm just looking at this and I'm like, I can't be the only one. I can't be the only one that sees this. Why doesn't everybody even talk about this? To me, I was like, we should be having these conversations. Man and machine. No rise of the machines, but a hybridization. Best of both worlds, incorporating matrix-like abilities into the human. So I like this picture. It's Metropolis with Da Vinci's Man. I'm not really sure what the Statue of Liberty and the light bulb, I guess, I don't know. What does that mean? And then we have the God picture with the robot hand. Love it. Actually, I guess that's the human hand with the robot hand touching the human hand. It's a great picture. But yeah, so people fear the rise of the machines, but people like Kevin Warwick, the professor of cybernetics at Oxford, says that if we want to remain relevant, we need to become cyborgs. And he wrote the book I, Cyborg, which later became the movie I, Robot. We are advanced robots. So we have the picture of the human woman in the tree. Then you have the Terminator, half man, half robot, or really a robot with human skin on top. And then you have, I guess that's the Bicentennial Man, and then a 3D modeling of a skeleton. So I guess this was my grand conclusion that in 2003, when I was, 23 years old, 22, I was like, man, this is profound. And it still is fairly profound. We are advanced robots. It's kind of hard to deny now. Back then, forget it. No, I had no audience. But look at our bodies, the different layers, the skeleton, the muscles, the nervous system. We are advanced robots created by somebody or something, and we're inhabiting these bodies. God made man, man made robot. And this was a philosophical question at the time of who should the robots pray to? Should they pray to man? Or should they pray to God, the robots? After all, if man created the robots, we are the creators. And look at that skeleton there. That skeleton is not that far off from that robot to the right. Human genetic code, DNA, 4 states, ATCG, adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine. It's the computer machine code. Is binaries, zeros and ones, 2 states off and on, zeros and ones, zeros and ones. DNA is the source code for human bodies. It's 4 states, ATCG, versus the computer binary code is zeros and ones. Just as you can program a computer, you probably can program life with ATCG, the 4 states. Pyramids and structures on Mars. So this became a series known as Humans on Mars. I think I made 3 parts of it. And, there's this picture of the Cydonia area that had pyramids and a face. So if Mars really exists as a real place, I don't know why everybody doesn't talk about Cydonia. Look at those pyramids. Look at the face. Look at the city. The Cydonian city complex on Mars. Copyright 96 by Robert Feartech. You got the pyramid platform, the Northwest Pyramid, the main pyramid, the fortress, and all the other things. In 1976, 1998, and 2001. And the face from Cydonia was in the movie Mission to Mars. Nibiru, the 12th planet, Planet X. Everybody eventually learns about the Anunnaki, the Sumerian stone tablets, Planet X, Jason Martell, Zechariah Sitchin, ancient aliens. And, I don't know if space exists anymore, but when everybody believed space existed, why they weren't talking about Nibiru and the 12th planet and Planet X is beyond me. Do you only talk about things you got permission from NASA to talk about? Why wouldn't you talk about the interesting things? So Nibiru, this is supposedly a picture of Nibiru, and it has like this irregular orbit of like 3,500 years and was on like not a collision course, but like a course that might throw off the moon's gravity with the Earth, and it was going to create some kind of cataclysm. It was supposed to happen in like 2005, never happened, and thus it's now just a legend. And then I guess this is either the Sumerian stone tablets or some kind of Egyptian hieroglyphics, but you could see that there's a sun in the center of our solar system. And this is used a lot in Ancient Aliens, UFO folklore. This is from 4500 BC. It's a Sumerian tablet. It's a pretty interesting picture for something from 4500 BC, if it really is. If this is really one of those original Sumerian stone tablets, this is quite fascinating. You know, how many planets? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 with the sun. And that's why they said the 12th planet, because like the sun and the moon are, anybody can make anything up. But this was a big deal in 2003 with Martell and Zechariah Sitchin, Ancient Aliens. It's been covered ad nauseum since then, but when I heard about this back then, not many people were talking about it. So yeah, the meaning of the 12th planet, artistic depiction, not scaled. You got the asteroid belt, you got the sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Luna, Mars. Then you have the inner planets, and you have the outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and then Nibiru. And again, if you hear about this stuff and not many people are talking about it, you feel like you got to tell everybody. But now looking back, it's probably a good thing I didn't tell too many people. And then you have Tiamet, which, according to legend, has become the asteroid field. I always saw the asteroid field. The information we're given about space from NASA shows an asteroid field between Mars and Jupiter. And, you're like, wow, it looks like that used to be a planet. How did it become a planet? How did that happen? What's the legend? What was the asteroid belt called? Well, when it was a planet, it was called Tiamet. Our own human-made aircraft is far more bizarre than alien spacecraft. So I guess that's the stealth bomber, or actually that first picture I think is the F-118, and then the second one's the stealth bomber, and then you got like the F-119, the TR-3B. You have all these advanced secret flying aircraft, and it's like, man, these things really fly around. Like, these things are real. Versus UFOs, who knows what those are? But we know that all these test aircraft are real, and these things are so far out. They're so beyond what we know about, and we're given this limited perspective of physics, a limited perspective of reality, that everything is normal, that things like this are science fiction. But it's like, no, these things. I mean, I don't know about the TR-3B, but these pictures here, these are of real aircraft. And these aircraft are far more advanced than anything I see on the surface of the planet. So I use this as an example on why things are not the way you've been told, that there's a breakaway civilization with advanced technology, and they're far ahead of us. What is the Matrix? Again, present day, everybody asked this, but back then, this was revolutionary to ask. We have these movies, Deep Impact and Armageddon, that came out at the same time, same year. It's like, how did that happen? And this eventually became the chapter in simulation theory called Message in the Movies. Both movies came out shortly after it was briefly announced on television that asteroid XF11 was on a collision course with Earth by the year 2028. And it's never been explained. How could two simultaneous asteroid films happen at the same time? Like, how does that happen? And then I, Cyborg by Kevin Warwick, and then I, Robot by with Will Smith starring in it. And Kevin Warwick is a human cyborg who invents technology to enhance the human body in order to survive when the robots take over. Recently, he connected his body to the internet by having electrodes surgically implanted into his nervous system in New York, and had someone across the Atlantic Ocean in England control his body remotely. Pictures of this and other experiments he conducted on himself are available on www.kevinwarwick.com. So at the time, I was trying to tell people, hey man, iRobot is based on a true story. There's a real guy there's a real Will Smith in real life, Kevin Warwick, and he's really doing this stuff. Before we had Elon Musk, we had Kevin Warwick. And this slide's also covered in Message in the Movies. The Core and 007 Die Another Day show what would happen if direct radiation from the sun could get through the protective layers of the atmosphere and touch the Earth's surface. In both movies, there were secret bases located in Alaska and some other snowy cold region. In real life, there is a government research facility called HARP located in Alaska, which conducts experiments loosely related to some of the things depicted in the movie. So my point was, yeah, there's a whole 2-hour film here, but focus on that weapon or that technology. That's based on reality. The storyline, maybe not, but the specifics or what's displayed is the weapon, the technology, and that's based on a true story. So is there any truth to the Bible code or numerology, the occult, secret societies, astrology? And I had noticed there was a lot of movies coming out. We had the Omega Code, the Bible Code, Omega Code 2, Megiddo, Pi, Revelation, the Code Conspiracy. There was still like the Bible still had some kind of significance, to me in 2003, where like it mattered to know about it. And the Bible Code was really popular back then, and there was a lot of movies that you see depicted here that were making it seem interesting. Then we had all these Mars movies. These 3 movies suggest there's life on Mars. The picture to the left is a NASA photograph of a Mars region called Cydonia. This photograph shows several pyramids, about 4, and a face structure. In the movie Mission to Mars, the astronauts land in the Cydonia area and stranded, they walk around Mars. And Red Planet, they walk around, they don't need any kind of life support. Mars used to be a pretty big deal to me. That Cydonia region was a big deal, but now I think all the NASA pictures of everything are fake. So sorry if that hurt your feelings. I want to believe. So we have genetic mutation, man-made viruses, genetic weapons, viral weapons, zombies used by the military, created in laboratories by multinational corporations, genetic enhancements, secret genetic experiments. You watch all these movies, 28 Days Later, Mission Impossible 2, Resident Evil Apocalypse, The Hulk, Spider-Man 2, The Fly 2, all this genetic engineering. It's just not talked about that much in society, but these movies are showing you all kinds of neat stuff that they're working on. Even to this day, most people don't know about the 13th floor. 13th floor and Matrix came out at the same exact time. They both suggest that we live in a computer-generated reality and are experiencing a simulation of what we think is real life. So The Matrix got all the credit, and The Matrix should get a lot of credit. It's the most important movie of our time. But the 13th floor should be checked out. If you haven't seen 13th floor and you thought The Matrix was incredible, check out 13th floor. It's what gave me the idea to write simulation theory. It's really profound. So yeah, 13th floor just never got the credit it deserved. Movies that suggest what we think is reality is not. Vanilla Sky falls in the same category with Matrix and 13th floor, with a manufactured reality. So we have Dark City and The Truman Show. And it's interesting that we have both of those because those are used often in the Flat Earth Society, or not the Flat Earth Society, Flat Earth Movement or Flat Earthers. They use Dark City because it's depicted as a flat Earth, and the Truman Show is also kind of depicted as what we think is going on once you figure out that there's no out there. If you start to believe that there's no outer space and there's nothing out there, then you say, well, what is going on? And we're saying it's kind of like the Truman Show. And then Vanilla Sky. An hour and a half into it, the movie gets real bizarre when it gets into his cryo sleep. And it's kind of like The Matrix. Then we have movies like The Day After Tomorrow, Code Hunter, and then later on, An Inconvenient Truth. Code Hunter depicts hurricanes as an unintended byproduct of space to surface weaponry, which could have been from HARP. It's kind of like loosely based on HARP. It talks about global warming, tsunamis. It's funny, The Day After Tomorrow is like buried into history. When it came out, it was such a big deal. SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, real-life organization depicted in Contact and The Arrival, the Allen Telescope Array. So yeah, Contact and The Arrival. And there was another movie, Event Horizon, and in Event Horizon and Contact had the same exact, I don't want to call it a spaceship or a time machine, but it's the same thing as in both Contact and Event Horizon. And I was just trying to give some recognition to SETI. But again, aliens, whatever, who cares now? Then you have Simone, Sim 1. And I was trying to tell people that Al Pacino is based on Ray Kurzweil. Ray Kurzweil is really famous now, but back in 2003, he wasn't as famous as he is today. And I used to try to tell everybody about Ray Kurzweil. So Al Pacino's character is very loosely based on real-life Ray Kurzweil. Ray Kurzweil is one of the leaders in virtual reality and artificial intelligence, and in real life created an artificial intelligent avatar known as Ramona. The movie was called Simone, so it's like the same amount of letters. Ramona is the real-world version based on like Ray, Ramona, like the girl version. You can learn more at his interesting website, www.kurzweilai.net, and you can view Ramona as well as video presentations of his merging of virtual reality. So Ray Kurzweil, if you don't know who Ray Kurzweil is, where are you sleeping under a rock? This guy is like inventing the future. Then we have Gattaca, Minority Report in 1984, Biometrics, Blood Sample Scanner, Genetic Engineering, Genetic Family Planning, Eugenics, Dystopia, Fascism, Big Brother, Total Information Awareness, Department of Pre-Crime is the Department of Homeland Security, Biometrics, Retina Scans, Thumb Scans, Precogs, Precognition, Remote Viewing. So I'm seeing all these movies and I'm like, why is everybody calling this science fiction? This is what's going on, man. And then you have Virtuosity, Artificial Intelligence, Tron, Blade Runner. And in Tron and Virtuosity, people's bodies were scanned by a laser and then recreated into the computer. I saw this, so it's the same tech. They both got scanned into the computer. And then these movies talk about genetic algorithms, artificial life, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, neural networks, computer animation, and then, of course, Ray Kurzweil at www.kurzweilai.net. Seeing Virtuosity also kind of tipped me off to the whole human body being a robot, because when Russell Crowe's character got cut, or like he got his arm cut off, he could rebuild his body parts if he put that part inside water. Like the molecules would then recreate his arm. And that night, my friend was going to show us a scar that he had gotten in a boating accident. And when he took his shirt off, we looked to see where he expected the scar to be, and the scar was gone because his body magically healed itself. And we're like, man, this is crazy. I mean, yeah, of course, we always got cut and we healed, but we never thought about it. We're like, wow, isn't that like bizarre that our body automatically heals itself? Then we have Signs. So the movie Signs was based on the Phoenix Lights incident in Arizona in 1997. In the movie, Joaquin Phoenix watches real video from the Phoenix Lights coverage on television. And in Independence Day, the president, Bill Pullman, visits Area 51. So I was just trying to show that, hey, these movies are kind of based on real life. And then Jurassic Park, you can make dinosaurs, you can clone humans, we can remove the aging strand in our DNA and live forever. When I was a college freshman, we cloned fruit flies and read a book, How to Build Jurassic Park. Swordfish was a pre-9/11 movie about manufacturing terrorist attacks to save American freedoms. Yeah, Swordfish was interesting. Then we have 2001, 2010, AVP, 3001. These movies have monoliths. Monoliths are in these movies, which were put in certain areas to detect stages of human intelligence evolution. We have now landed on the moon, created the computer, and harnessed the power of the atom. Monoliths, checkpoints, just like checkpoint save points in video games. That's what the monoliths are for simulation theory. The Manchurian Candidate, mind control, MK Ultra, implanted microchips, applied digital solutions, had the Verichip, Gulf War syndrome, and there's aspects in the Manchurian Candidate that I had somebody tell me actually happened to him. Then we have white noise. White noise was George Meeks invented the Spiricom in real life, which enabled him to get messages from dead people. He also took many pictures in a room with a light bulb that does not shine the visible light frequencies and was able to capture photos of spirits. And then there's a little link in the description here to learn about the research of George W. Meek and how it relates to EVP. So this movie White Noise, people just think it was a horror film that came out of nowhere. George Meeks, the George Meek story blew my mind. The Spiricom and everything that came out of it. I don't know how it's not bigger in like coast to coast lore, because it seems like they have some tangible stuff there to work with. Then we have National Treasure and the Skulls, Secret Societies, Freemasons, Skull and Bones, symbols on the dollar bill. You could say Da Vinci Code made this really popular. I don't know if that movie existed yet when I made this PowerPoint, but the government working either with the aliens or against the aliens. Aliens disguised as humans. You have the Forgotten, Fire in the Sky, V, The Final Battle, The Dreamcatcher, Communion, Intruders, Men in Black, They Live, The Arrival. The Forgotten had that scene where Gary Sinise's character was a psychologist that was kind of like forced to work for the aliens. And then Dreamcatcher, you had that scene with all those gray aliens trying to lie to people. These movies were, if you believe in aliens, these were impactful films here. And I used to believe in aliens, but not anymore. But these movies were a big deal to me. Then we have time travel films like Donnie Darko, The Time Machine, The Philadelphia Experiment. Donnie Darko was amazing. Time Machine had a lot of stuff. And we have children's movies from the 80s. War Games, The Last Starfighter, Flight of the Navigator, Cloak and Dagger, Batteries Not Included, The Explorers, Short Circuit, Science Project, Space Camp. Look at all these films. If you're my age, you're going to look at this saying, yeah, man, they targeted so much information to us as kids. And so, it's no wonder I think about the things that I think about. Then we have these visionary movies from the 30s. And I see them referenced sometimes in, like conspiracy videos, but it never really goes into depth. And I think it's just because people never watched them. I watched Things to Come from beginning to end because I at the time I had never seen a movie from the 1930s, let alone a science fiction film. And it's for the 1930s, this movie is really good. And I remember watching it, totally not even knowing what I was in for. And there's a line that says, these guys, they go, "We represent the New World Order. And we call ourselves Wings Over the World." And basically the movie was about if World War II had kept going until 1970, what the world would be like. And it's interesting to watch Things to Come. It's made by H.G. Wells. If anything, like you'll get something out of it. And then Metropolis is super famous. A lot of people have said, I've watched Metropolis. And in fact, I saw Metropolis at a nightclub one time with like techno music that matched it perfect. Like, how they say Pink Floyd, The Wall with Wizard of Oz. The music that I was watching from Metropolis was like perfect for it. But yeah, you see a lot of crazy imagery in Metropolis. You're like, man, what were these people thinking back then? But yeah, they're mentioned often, but never in depth. I saw them back in like 2001, so I don't have much that I remember from it 15 years ago other than what I just told you about it. And actually, what I could offer from Metropolis is, look, there's a robot in the picture, and this is from the 1930s. And I remember wanting to see it because I wanted to see what people of the 1930s thought the future would be like, and just to compare how different it actually turned out. But yeah, they were thinking of robots in the 30s. Here we are in 2015. We're talking, is it 85 years later? Where's our robots? Then there's the documentary Angels Don't Play This Harp, Science Behind Closed Doors, Holes in Heaven, DNA, Pirates of the Sacred Spiral, and then the Wingmakers. So HARP was a big thing in the early 2000s. Nick Begich. There was 2 major documentaries. What's interesting about Holes in Heaven was, if I remember correctly, it was narrated by Martin Sheen. Yeah, I could see it on the cover. Narrated by Martin Sheen. And I remember thinking, man, Martin Sheen is narrating this conspiracy film? That's amazing. And DNA, Pirates of the Sacred Spiral, Len Horowitz, and Wingmakers. See, the Wingmakers I learned of from Al Bielek, but it kind of reminds me of the Wings Over the World from Things to Come. But the Wingmaker story is like, I got to revisit that just to see if there's anything to it. Because that's what Al Bielek said. I forgot. I can't remember what he said about the Wingmakers. But they have like access to all time. So this next slide here seems to be me developing this philosophy back in 2003 with just like statements. So reality does not exist in its solid form as we see it. Everything we see is a hologram. Reality is really just a bunch of waves, frequencies. Our eyes gather the frequencies and our brain converts it into images that we see, in the same way a radio decodes sound waves into audible sound that we hear through a speaker and understand, or a television decodes frequencies into understandable visual images that we see displayed through various heated red, green, blue, phosphorus, or liquid crystal dots that appear to make an image. That's a big sentence there. But essentially, if you think about a TV set, actually, I think this next line does it. You can't see a TV signal or a radio signal without a television or a radio to tune the invisible frequencies to our eyes, yet they are there. Reality really looks like a bunch of wavy lines. We experience things as physical and as painful or pleasurable only because our nerves take in sensation information and our brain decodes it and reacts. All emotions are electrochemical reactions, electronic signals from the brain releasing different elements or compounds into the body through its various channels. The brain and human body is electronic, just like a computer, except that the source code for man is DNA and a computer is binary. Buildup of garbage, global warming, extension of species, loss of habitat, rainforest, doing nothing about it, mind intention, creates results, non-locality, space-time makes no difference, quantum, energy, matter, patterns, information. War costs, $200 billion. Imagine using that on alternative energy development, energy, petrochemical, global future studies, bio, nano, infotech, molecular barcode, sprinkled in like dust, synthetic sentience. Privacy is something we pride ourselves as a right. The movie Cocoon, I just left it there at one point. I don't even remember what caused me to think of Cocoon. But, I guess it's about aliens, life extension. Aliens and origins of man. Origins of man. Government. Sightings. Abductees. Disclosure. Even if it's fake, what's up? U.S. technology. Alien races. Anunnaki, dinosaurs, regular taught version, religious version, pyramid building civilizations, Atlantis, Lemuria, Genesis, Elohim, Nephilim, slave planet. Why exist? What's your version of reality? Aristotle writing about the greats. Many documents, books destroyed at Alexandria. If I had these thoughts now, they wouldn't be impressive, but having these thoughts in 2003, the pre-internet as we know it era, that's the point of me reading this through here, just to see what I thought about back then. And that this PowerPoint itself basically became books and videos. Anyway, DNA reality, soul-body duality. Watson and Crick discovered the DNA. ATCG 0101, source code of man. Ethics and genetic enhancements is a joke because we eat food and take vitamins. Reprogram your body. Body, soul, separate entities. What is a memory? Simulation of the matrix. Body is a spacesuit. So my thing was, like all the baseball players getting in trouble for using steroids. I'm like, well, I mean, steroids are technology. Genetic enhancements, where's the, trying to apply ethics to that? It's like, what? I mean, we eat food, we take vitamins. Aren't those like enhancements? Where's the line? Where does it go from being nutrition to, unfair advantage? What is reality? Neurological simulation, video game, our framework of reality survivalists, hunters and gatherers, capitalism, still hunting, everything is a rat race to stay alive and everyone dies. Religious view, computer matrix, aliens created man. The boring, pointless view, eat, crap, sleep, reproduce, die, that's it. Make as much money as you can, die with the most toys. Darwin, leave as much offspring. The New Age spiritual, and one frequency vibration of many dimensions. The man lives, Groundhog Day, going through life to learn lessons until you get it right. Salvation, living to die to gain entry into heaven. So this slide here essentially became, and this is slide 60, this became chapter 2 of simulation theory, the chapter called Reality Has Become Science Fiction. So that's kind of interesting. Okay, getting to the bottom of reality. Who controls everything? The Illuminati, aliens, bankers, God, Satan? This was also in chapter 2. The source code of man is DNA. DNA versus binary. DNA modification via RNA or virus. The Holy Grail, eternal life. Remove DNA that causes aging or reverse aging process and recessive genes. DNA printers, genetic engineering, cloning, stem cell research, creating organs for replacement, creating X-Men mutant abilities, science and mathematics, quantum theory, mechanics, pi, 1.6 trillion digits, implications, Einstein's theory, energy, the frequency of visible light, and the entire range of the electromagnetic spectrum of radiation. 8. Sci-fi technology today, OLEDs, organic light-emitting diodes, cloak suit, Harry Potter coat, Aurora, Die Another Day, wireless technology, ISS, International Space Station, the Boba Fett suit for soldiers, B-2 stealth bomber, Mars Pathfinder and 96 landing within 2 miles of the destination. Secret projects are 50 years ahead of what we can imagine. Alternate energy. See the benefits of someone that doesn't have a full-time job? I had the time to think of all this stuff. 11. Humans that may not have been human. Nikola Tesla, John von Neumann, Albert Einstein, Jesus Christ. Imaginary things that are real. Stock market, economy, money, paper, trust, religions, borders, timekeeping, keeping time, numbers, letters, symbols, reality, laws, language, operating system, software. Again, this was in chapter 2 of simulation theory, but at least now we know where it came from, including me. Number 7, it's like this is out of order. Anyway, rise of the machines, insect robots that learn, business computer AI that buy and sell, artificial intelligence, artificial life, supercomputers, qubit, antimatter for binary, neural networks, genetic algorithms. And on the previous slide, I was talking about OLEDs, and here we see artificial life, qubits, genetic algorithms, neural networks. I don't hear about these things that much anymore. What happened to these things? These things existed in 2003. Where are they in 2016? 2. UFO research. Firefighter's Hand Guide. Roswell. If no aliens landed, what's up with the cover-up? If aliens did land, well, the law that you receive 1 year in jail, $150,000 fine for interacting with aliens. UFO comments by astronauts. Edgar Mitchell's Aliens Exist. Universe is Conscious. Noetic Research. John Glenn on Fraser. Columbia and Challenger disasters and Apollo 13 and failed Russian and U.S. Mars missions. That those could have been alien attacks. The Face and Cydonia Mars. Ezekiel. Aliens in the Bible and History. Hieroglyphics. Cave drawings. Phoenix Lights. Battle of Los Angeles. Crop Circles. Colin Andrews. Dark Side of the Moon. Can't Face Hubble to Dark Side. The Cometa Report Blue Book Special. Ufologists may separate into groups, which I did in chapter, the one about the paranormal. So this is also in simulation theory. Stanton Friedman, Colin Andrews, Peter Davenport, Willie Strieber, Bud Hopkins, Zechariah Sitchin, Jason Martell, Carl Sagan, SETI, Dan Aykroyd, William Cooper, Bob Lazar, Tom Mayhood, George Knapp, David Icke, Al Bielek, Preston Nichols, Stuart Swerdlow, Nancy Leader, Ellie from Crystal Links, Rail, Art Bell, George Norrie, Jeff Rentz, Lou Gentile. 4. Origin of Man. So, again, out of order. Anunnaki from Nibiru, Sumerians, Zechariah Sitchin, Jason Martell, Wingmakers, Bible version. Aliens from other planets, various alien races, Mayans, Egyptians, wormholes, pyramid alignment with space, Bible code, dinosaurs, lost civilizations, historical records destroyed after conquer. 6. Existentialism, body-soul duality, dreams, eternal beings, virtual reality life experience, afterlife dimension, near-death experience. A lot of search terms here. Whole lot of stuff. If you hadn't heard of these, this video is a wealth of links. Part 5. Secret projects cover-up. Philadelphia experiment, Montauk Project, Area 51. TR3B, Vatican City, genetic engineering. 10. Real government organizations, projects, HARP, DARPA, NSA. 11. Big Brother, Echelon, Applied Digital Solutions, Total Information Awareness, TIA. Secret societies, GPS surveillance, biometrics, retinal scan, fingerprints, human soul frequency, Department of Homeland Security, Patriot Act. Physical reality versus logical reality. TV, 1 megahertz. Radio, 20 kilohertz. Phone, 2 kilohertz to 15 kilohertz. Brain, 45 megahertz. Stephen O. Gibbs, Jack Peterson, small device invisibility. John Hutchinson, fused metal and wood. Colonel Corso, day after Roswell. Night vision transistor fiber optic. Dystopian movies of technology enslavement. THX 1138, Brave New World, Gattaca. 13. The fall of mankind. Apocalypse clock. Nuclear weapons. Money. Almighty dollar. Overpopulation. Disease epidemic. Exhaust fish supply. Strain soil nutrients for commercial gain in the rat race. The necessity for machines to aid our lives in the eventual takeover of the machines. Humans are inefficient to the equation. Since the beginning of time, man has been throwing rocks at each other. Greed, jealousy, alien takeover, air or water poisoning, asteroid impact, pole shift. Yeah, the end of the world and all that stuff was still a big deal pre-2012. Post-2012, everyone's like, you know what? We're here for the long haul. Don't give me this end of the world stuff anymore. Limitations of man, vision frequency, hearing range, brain calculation limits, humans currently die via aging, G-force, potentials of man, higher vibrational frequencies, chakras, beyond 5 sense reality, ESP, remote viewing, collective consciousness, dimensional transcending, astral projection, eternal life, fully automated society, removal of currency, survival needs provided without 40-hour work week, and traffic congestion allows personal development, voyaging, and discovery to be achieved. So there you have it. Even before I was really in the rat race of having a full-time job, I knew the doom of my future of having this 40-hour work week. So for the past 13 years, I've been working, and therefore I'm making videos about things I produced before I worked in 2003. That was the last year before I had a full-time job, 40-hour work week. And nearly all that was from chapter 2, I think. All right, so we have updated graphics and arenas. This is the Colosseum in Rome in 400 AD. And then in present day, we have the America Airlines Arena in Miami in 2003 AD. So we still have the Colosseum, the Roman Colosseum, to give the bread and circus. The top was the Gladiators. The bottom is the Miami Heat basketball team. And we have updated enemies. Whether it's Hitler, Saddam Hussein, Arafat, Kim Jong-il, Osama bin Laden. They just keep changing the enemy. And here's an interesting slide. Population 6.2 billion. That was in 2003. And now we're at like 7.2 billion 13 years later. And those last two slides were from Reality, the Neurological Experience. Classes in session. So I was a substitute teacher for a short period of time. I used to write on the chalkboard compound interest, 6.2 billion people. And I'd say to the kids, I'm like, you guys got to be skillful, not insignificant. And because there's gonna be a lot of people, are you gonna be a number? Because under my ideal world, we can all exist, but since you all F faces want to keep this effed up paradigm, your ass better be useful if you want to keep things the way they are. How many people are going to be on the planet in 30 years at a 3% growth rate? The kids will say, that's not going to happen. I'm like, well, why not? And then, then we will have, they say, well, it's just not going to happen. I'm like, okay, well, then we have shit city on our hands. That's a real good future to look forward to. So I was just showing, like, mathematically, the population of the planet is going to make everybody insignificant. They already are insignificant. It's going to keep getting worse. And they're like, well, some kind of thing's going to happen. I'm like, all right, well, then you got some disasters to look forward to. Cigars and guitars. I'm not a doomsday person. I don't want this to happen. I have a great life. But when I plan for retirement, those are the things I think about. I want there to be a future. Brief history of major religions. Does facing north, south, east, west affect sleep patterns? And changing Barnes & Noble's section titles. That science fiction should be current events. Global warming, greenhouse gases. Critical mass equals 400 parts per million CO2. Currently, in 2003, 379 parts per million CO2. Growth rate is 2 parts per million per year. Estimated time left, 10.5 years. Well, guess what? It's 13 years later, and we're still here. So tell Al Gore and all the Democrats and liberals, STFU. Don't tell me about greenhouse gases, global warming. We're still alive, bro. Traffic, and this one's also in simulation theory. Dollars in traffic violation tickets. It's almost like directly word for word, just like this. Money for new roads and maintenance, for funerals, road-related deaths. Americans paid for auto insurance. Money for physical therapy for those injured. Money in tolls paid. Money in car repairs from accidents. Money paid to lawyers' court fees. Money in gas. Money in man hours. Police, insurance agent. Yeah. Slide 78. How to protect borders. Infrared or laser. So this shows you the border issue was even a topic 13 years ago. So yeah, we could use infrared or lasers on the border. You don't need to build a wall. Remote aircraft with cameras, sound detectors, hidden rock camera, sound mic, talk, thermal satellites. The technology exists. There's no reason to have a border crisis if there really is one. There's technology 13 years ago that could have prevented problems. 2003 traffic stats. 2003 traffic stats, 42,643 auto deaths from people 0 to 34 years old, 2.89 million injured, $230 billion in damages, $820 per person, 64-bit IP addressing. IPv6 still isn't really here. I mean, it's here, but we still have IPv4. IPTV, wow, I haven't heard that one in a long time. That's pretty much happened. Voice over IP used to be free. Video conferencing, transportation, how to stop illegal immigration, economics of the prison system. Message in the movies. Wow, 2003. I don't watch movies to be entertained. I go to be educated and informed. Consider I've been doing this for 13 years since I made this. When you watch TV, a movie, play video games, or do anything, you are investing time. Time of your life that you will never get back. Since this is such a precious investment, you should expect a return. Message in the movies continued. Every moment of your life spent is a moment closer to your death. You don't want to waste any moments because once they're gone, that's it. They don't roll over like singular wireless minutes. All around you is interesting information that can provide answers to your questions about life should you make yourself aware. Singular was AT&T wireless back in the day. Message continued. TV shows and movies are shot and filmed to a storyboard that has been thought out. It's not like you using your camcorder, hitting record, and taping everything in sight. It is all very specific, with angles that subconsciously convey meaning and pans that suggest passages of time and colors that will create a mood. Well, this is all in simulation theory. Message continued. Most of the stuff you see is specific and ordered, not random or by accident. Millions of dollars are going into these productions. Everything has a meaning. Everything is there for a purpose. My journey to becoming aware of all this was from simulations, from simultaneous sources of information, all coming to me at the same general time. I was in mass media, TV production. I learned about the Celestine Prophecy. Ryan introduced me to Quentin Tarantino and Kevin Smith. Dialogue, transformation. DNA, human cell, library, chromosomes, book, DNA, chapters, genes, paragraphs, sentences. 30 trillion cells. We don't have to believe anything. The evidence is there. Gematria. I don't even remember what gematria is. The last and final slide. Mass media television programming. Media for the masses. Mass media, not Renaissance media. If you're looking for answers on TV, you probably won't find it there. Agenda, gatekeepers, status control, selective exposure, Reuters, AP Press, rip and read. 70% of stuff presented as news is actually paid press release campaigns. Publicists generate controversy. Media plays along if affiliated. The big three, big four, everything they own. Clear Channel, what you don't see. Burt Rutan, Alex Jones, third-party views. What you do see, nonsense. Paris Hilton, Britney Spears, Michael Jackson. Who's number one on the charts in ratings, box office? Who fucking cares? How does it benefit you? All right, well, there you have it. That's all 86 slides. If you ever wondered how I wrote simulation theory or how I made some of the videos I've made, nearly all of it came from this PowerPoint slide. So, and what's funny about it is these were the thoughts from someone between 2003 and 2005 at the latest. And, I haven't had time. I've been working for 13 years. It takes away. But man, this was a pretty good collection of thoughts, of subject matter, topics, things to research. So, yeah, man, I did a lot of thinking back in the day when I had spare time. Don't have much now, but it's neat. Like I said, all this came from this PowerPoint, and this single PowerPoint has created an entire platform. 86 slides. A lot of it was a repeat. If you've been following along with the simulation theory series, this is pretty much a rehash of everything that was in the book. If you haven't seen Reality, the Neurological Experience, or Origins of Man, there are 2 videos I made in 2003. I'm still proud of them. You might want to check them out. Thank you for watching. Yeah, I knocked out a lot of videos today, so I'm a little bit tired. My throat's kind of shot, but I had fun. And I think this is the last of my legacy old videos. So I think from here on out, it's going to be all new content of new thoughts and stuff. But thanks for hanging with me. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking and commenting. I'm going to go to bed. But thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.